What is going on, everybody? My name is Dakota and welcome back to Cologne. Today we're going to be looking at and reviewing H24 by Hermes. So this is one of those fragrances that I've had my eye on for quite some time, and just it's one of those that I've never really thought it that necessary for me to buy, just because based on the profile and everything that I've seen online, I wasn't too sure about it. But my wife's birthday wasn't too long ago, and I was shopping around. She wanted a new fragrance, so I ended up getting my wife Chanel's Chance Eau Tundra, and she absolutely loves that fragrance. But whenever I was poking around, I saw that they had this one severely discounted because there was an extra coupon code you could put on with this, and I was able to pick this up for 17 bucks. And for 17 bucks, you can't really go wrong with any fragrance. I suppose you could, but it'd be hard to. So that is why we are going to be checking this one out today into today's scent of the day. Alrighty, so as we like to do, we are going to take the top off. First thing we're going to do is show off the atomizer. And the atomizer is actually really good for what it is. It doesn't have a whole lot of pressure behind it. It's one of those that produces a very linear burst, and it does move quite a bit of juice out of the bottle. So you can put a lot on in a short period of time with this one. So all in all, not too bad. And what you get when this first gets in the air is somewhat of a very, very floral. It's almost like a little bit of a bitter floral mixed in with little touches of green. It's got maybe like a little bit of a sharpness to it, maybe like a little bit of a metallic vibe to it. Not real bad, but just a little. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and put 2 there on the wrist. But as this gets drying down, when it first starts to open up on your skin, as I said, it's very floral, but it's not like a sweet, smooth floral. There's a little bit of a bitterness to it, maybe like a little bit of a metallicness to it. Honestly, the best way I would be able to explain it is almost like smelling like a raw flower, like you just walked up and grabbed one and smelled it. That's kind of what I get whenever I first put this on. But with some of those florals, with some of that freshness, also comes with a very clean vibe, a very clean style of fragrance that leads itself to be obviously very much a summertime fragrance, probably very much a high heat fragrance. I did get this towards the end of summer, so I wasn't able to really try this with a lot of blazing heat, but I was able to wear this in some low 90 to mid 90s days, and performance wise was honestly pretty decent for being an eau de toilette concentration, for how light and airy this fragrance is, given the makeup of this one. One of the things that I'm liking the most about this when it first hits the skin is it is very light. So it's one of those fragrances that it's going to have an herbalness to it, it's going to have a green feel to it with all the floral they have in here, but it's a combination of a bittery light style. So if you're someone who wants like those silky smooth kind of like clean blended ones, this one's not going to be for you. This one is just a little bit of a harsher floral style of fragrance, but I like it. It's a little bit of a mix up for what your standard like floral, heavy floral style fragrance will be. There's no sweetness in this at all. This is not a sweet fragrance. This one is very straightforward with a whole lot of floral with some woody undertones going on behind it. It's got just a little bit of that like earthiness to it, just a tiny, tiny touch of that, almost like that dirtiness. But all in all, as it's drying down, it's really not too bad. So the note breakdown on this one is kind of weird. It doesn't really give like top, mid, and base notes. It just has some note listings thrown out there. So the note breakdown this is going to be clary sage, narcissus, rosewood, and sclerine. Now, sclerine is one of the few notes that I've never really seen before, but kind of digging around what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be very much a lavender-esque style of floral. And I really don't get much out of this because normally when you have florals that use lavenders and orange blossom and stuff like that, you'll get them that they're a little bit sweeter, they're a little bit smoother, they're not really harsh at all. What I do get a lot of is going to be that clary sage and some of that narcissus, because those are more of like a nectar style that produce a little bit of a harshness. All right, so what we're going to get into now is the price, performance, and the availability. So we are going to start with availability. I would not venture to guess that most of your average walk-in retailers would have this. Most of your online retailers are going to have this. Full retail on this is going to be somewhere in that 120 to 140, just depending on where you get it at. So the discounted price on this is going to be somewhere in that $30 to $50 range, just kind of depending. Like I said, I was able to stack a coupon on top of a discount, and I got this for $17. And for $17, like I said, you really can't miss with this. So performance-wise, the longevity on this is okay. For an eau de toilette, I would say that it's decent. I got about 5 or 6 hours out of this. The sillage on this is very good. It falls away from your skin very nicely. It leaves a good little trail everywhere you go. The performance on this is actually pretty okay as well. I got about that 1 to 2 foot performance on this. So this is a fragrance that's light, it's airy, it wants to move around, it wants to jump off your skin. The longevity is a little bit to be desired for, but for an eau de toilette concentration, you really can't complain. And given the nature of this fragrance, you probably could be a little bit heavy-handed with this. I want to say when I wore this one, by the end of the day, I was somewhere around that 8 to 10 spray range, which is a little more than I like to do, but given the makeup of it, you can kind of get away with it on this one. But I'm not really going to give this one any time to dry down because it doesn't take much time to dry down. It takes about 20 minutes to get all the way to dry down on this. This fragrance is incredibly linear. There is almost no change from when you first spray it on all the way into the dry down. The only thing that kind of happens is the wood note gets a little bit stronger, and some of the floral notes on the top that start to dry down a little bit, they do get a little bit softer. They get a little bit smoother. When you first spray this on, it can be very harsh. It does come across quite bitter. But once this dies down a little bit, it does smooth out and it starts to mix with the wood note that's in this. And really, it's not that bad. It leads itself to be a very, very simple, easy reach. I don't really know that I would call this mass appealing, because when a lot of people go to reach for a floral style fragrance, they want those sweet, smooth, real complete, well-rounded. This one, not really that much. This one does have a bitterness on the opening. It does take a little bit to soften up, but that's really the only change as well, is the fragrance gets a little bit softer. So I would say this is a complete fragrance, but I wouldn't call this like a well-rounded fragrance. With some of the harsh nectar that comes off of this, it would maybe lean itself to be more of a very specific style of wear. Like I said, for me, this is going to be summertime. I really want to try this on a really, really hot day just to see how well it performs, because I got a feeling that performance would still be there. I feel like I would still get 5-6 hours out of this on a hotter day. But yeah, unless you're the type of person that likes a little bit of a bitter nectar, flowery, with mild undertones of some like earthy wood in the background, you might want to stay away from this one, because that's exactly what this one is. To me, I think it's very solid. The biggest thing though, the biggest reason I would recommend somebody picking this up is for sub 30 bucks potentially. This is a rock star fragrance for that price range, because it does smell quality, it does smell good, it's not very synthetic. Now it is a little bitter, but I think that's because the way they went with it. But there's not really a whole lot of synthetics going on in here, maybe just the tiniest touch of synthetic. But it doesn't smell that natural either. That's the weird part about this, is it kind of floats somewhere in the middle. It don't smell the most natural, but it doesn't smell the most synthetic. To me, what it really smells like is every now and then you'll get those flowers that a lot of the pollen has already fallen off of, and you'll grab them, and if you've ever smelled them, it smells almost like a bitter style of green, and that's exactly what this gets. So it's hard for me to say that this doesn't smell natural, because honestly, this smells like just sticking your head in flowers. But I do think that is going to get us wrapped up for today. I'm going to go ahead and get it on this bottle, try a little bit. The bottle is about as clean, simple, as basic as you can get. It's got their little stamping on top. Try to show that off without my ring light fighting with it. But yeah, this is about as clean cut as you can get. They didn't try to do anything fancy with it. It is a snap top. I wouldn't recommend holding them like that, but if you really had to, you could. But yeah, got a little bit of a weight to it. All in all, decent bottle. But now I got that out of the way, that is going to get us wrapped up on this one. As I like to say in every video, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for subscribing, for checking out these videos, for staying tuned. If somebody has feedback for the channel, I obviously welcome that. I love it when people get engaged in the comments. I love it whenever I get a lot of feedback, whether about your favorite fragrances, this fragrance. So thank you to everyone for supporting the channel and stuff like that. I truly appreciate it. But that's going to get us wrapped up. And as always, we will see you next time.